What is up, amigos? Hope you're doing awesome. My name is Maddie and welcome back to my channel. Let me start by saying this. Watching Aap Jaisa Koi was not just about enjoying a film. It was like holding a mirror up to every man. And I include myself. A mirror that didn't flatter me, didn't praise me, but made me uncomfortable. And not just me, it might do the same to you as well. This is not just a love story. It's a quiet slap to every man who thinks he's a good guy just because he doesn't raise his voice or hit anyone. So today I want to talk more about the message of this film, about how we as a society, especially as men, continue to fail women. How we continue to control their choices, judge them silently, and expect them to adjust, apologize, or forgive and move on. If this doesn't make you uncomfortable, maybe you're not paying attention. Now, at first glance, it might seem like just another sweet love story, but the truth, it runs much deeper. A middle-aged Sanskrit professor from Jamshedpur falls in love with a younger French teacher from Kolkata. You might expect the usual rom-com scenes, a few cute moments, family drama, and a happy ending. But this film is smarter than that. It uses the love story as a trick to get our attention. Behind every smile, there's an ugly truth about how women are treated. Even in so-called modern relationships, behind every romantic gesture, there's a question about control, morality, and power. This is not a feel-good love story. It's a warning sign. The more I watched, the more I realized that this story is also about the man at the center of it, Sri Renu, played by Madhavan. And he's not what he seems. Sri Renu is not a villain. That's exactly the problem. He is calm, soft-spoken, respectful on the surface, but deep inside, he carries the same patriarchal thoughts most of us men do. He thinks he's progressive, but the moment things go against what he considers decent or right, he starts showing his true face. The way he reacts when he learns about Madhu's past or when he feels embarrassed by her choices, it all shows how men like him and many of us still believe we have the right to decide what's acceptable in a woman. Even when we say we support women, we want them to behave a certain way, dress a certain way, and live a life that makes us comfortable. That's not respect. That's silent control. And then of course there's Madhu, the kind of woman we say we admire but often end up punishing for simply being honest. Now, Madhu is not shown as a loud rebel. She's smart, she's confident, and she doesn't hide who she is, but that's exactly what society can't handle. The moment people find out she's had relationships before, that she chats with strangers online, even if men do the same, but she's suddenly treated like a criminal or a characterless woman, loose character, right? We often hear these kind of words, even from the most so-called posh colonies of metro cities. And what's worse, she's expected to either apologize or just forgive, to understand Sri Renu's reaction, to calm down his family, to make peace. Why? Just because she's the woman? Why is it always the woman who has to adjust and move forward? The film exposes this very clearly. Madhu doesn't do anything wrong, but everyone around her, including her partner, wants her to apologize just for being herself. Now, what really caught me off guard was how the film quietly talks about men too, and the roots of this mentality. There's something very real about Sri Renu's life. He's 42, unmarried, lonely, and emotionally disconnected. And that's not something we see often in Hindi films. But here's the harsh truth, that loneliness is also created by the same society. Men are never taught to be emotionally open. We are taught to be tough, to hide our feelings, to never cry. So men like Sri Renu grow up confused. They crave love, but they don't know how to handle it when it finally comes. Instead of dealing with their own emotional immaturity, they blame the woman. This film shows us how dangerous that can be. A lonely man with traditional values and a fragile ego can ruin the life of a woman who just wants to be loved for who she is. Now let's just take a moment from the messaging and story to talk about how stunning this film looks too. Visually, I don't think I have seen a more beautiful Bollywood film shot in Kolkata since Piku. The old houses, the narrow lanes, quiet ponds, and the soft lighting, everything looks like a painting. But the visuals are not just pretty, they help us feel the contrast between Madhu's world and Sri Renu's. She lives in a city full of color, culture, independence, but he lives in a town full of rules, silences, and outdated thinking. The visuals are not just decoration, they are a part of the story, and the soundtrack. Wow, just just wow. The music understands the characters even when they can't express what they are feeling. It's so soft, so emotional, but always makes you feel the weight of what's not being said. Just amazing. Okay, now coming back to the messaging part again, what really stuck with me were the small things too, the tiny moments that, sometimes hits you harder than any dramatic scene. Now, there's a moment in the film where Sri Renu's virginity is mocked by his own students. It's a quick scene, but it says a lot. We always talk about how women are judged, right? But men too are boxed into expectations. If you don't fit the image of a real man, society will quietly humiliate you. That shame might look different from what women face, but it comes from the same rotten thinking. There's also another scene in the tram where Madhu is being passively judged by a student during an interview. She's polite, but you can feel it, that quiet superiority, that discomfort with a woman who's confident, independent, and doesn't play by the rules. These are the everyday ways people try to put women in their place. Sometimes women themselves. No shouting, no direct insults, just soft control dressed as normal behavior. And then there's a line from Sri Renu's Bhabhi in the end, one of the strongest lines in the film. She says, 3 टाइम की दवा और खाना टाइम पे मिल जाए तो आपका ध्यान भी नहीं जाएगा कि हम नहीं हैं. That one line quietly speaks about how much women sacrifice just to be seen in their own homes. How being invisible becomes normal, even acceptable. It's not loud or dramatic, but it's unforgettable. And for those expecting a loud, dramatic climax or a full redemption arc, this film doesn't go there. And honestly, that's the point. Some viewers might say the film doesn't give heroic transformation or the big shouting matches, but real life isn't like that, my friend. Most men like Sri Renu don't become feminists overnight. They take small steps. They still mess up, but they say, I'll try to be better. And the film is honest about that. It doesn't pretend everything is solved in the end. It shows that patriarchy doesn't end with one apology. And that's what makes it so powerful. It's not trying to be perfect, it's just trying to be real. So if you're a man watching this review, I'm not here to accuse you. I'm just saying, look closely at this film. If Sri Renu feels too familiar, maybe it's time to ask why. And if you're a woman, I hope this film shows you that you're not overreacting. You're not too emotional, you're just tired of being judged all your life for simply existing. And if you're still wondering whether you should watch Aap Jaisa Koi, I'll say this without any hesitation. Absolutely yes. Watch it because it doesn't sugarcoat the truth. It doesn't scream for attention. It just quietly tells a story that reflects the way we live, we think, and treat each other, especially women. The messaging is sharp and it's uncomfortable in all the right ways. It doesn't ask you to agree with anything, it asks you to think, and that's rare. But even apart from the social layers, this film is technically one of the most polished pieces of work to come out of Bollywood in recent years. I wonder why this didn't release in theaters. The way it's shot, the lighting, the framing, the soft textures, everything, every frame looks like it's been composed with care. And as I said earlier, the music, the soundtrack is outstanding. When was the last time a Bollywood film gave us melodies that felt like they were hugging the story instead of overpowering it? There's emotion in every note. It's calming, it's moving, and it stays with you long after the film ends. The performances too by R. Madhavan brings layers of charm, confusion, ego, and vulnerability without ever going theatrical. Fatima Shaikh is just as effortless. She carries quiet strength and raw honesty in every scene, and the storytelling so balanced, no over explaining, no spoon feeding, just honest grown-up writing. So yes, watch Aap Jaisa Koi not because it's trending on Netflix, but because it's the kind of film we always say we want and yet often we skip when it actually shows up. Thank you for watching us today. Take care, stay awesome, and bye-bye.